goodness, look at you. Julie.
Where were you guys from?
Myrtle Beach.
Okay. Lucky. I would like to live in Myrtle Beach. Yeah, there are a lot of people there. Yeah.
The beach is beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't pick any chunks out of you, but you can just rotate your hand away from him. You might be getting a little bit hungry. I'll give you some spinach. They have really poor eyesight, so they can't really tell the difference between a finger and a piece of food. So when they start, yeah, when they start getting kind of body like that, usually means he's starting to get a little bit hungry.
Oh, this is one. You can watch all food.
Are you happy?
See that tongue sticking out.
What? Oh, yummy.
You'll have to ignore the tweeting behind me. I found a little baby bird up there in the barn, and so I'm cutting up little worms and giving it to
Are you chewing them up yourself and spitting
No. I don't have that,
You're not doing that?
devoted of a mothering instinct there.
You're not gonna chew them up and.
But they're taking the worms pretty well. I got some worms from the gas station, just kind of cutting them up and then giving them to him like with his little tweezers. He eats it right up. They make it.
It's been sleeping, it's fun all day.
And I can take some pictures for you too at a little bit of a distance if you like.
Mm, I can see your face. Oh, the shrimp is nice.
You want to take a few?
Oh, the sweetest. Who's taking it from me?
Daddy Dash. Oh, back at me?
So when we got Dash, he was 4 months old, and he was so small that he could not wrap his arms all the way around our torso. So he had to sit in the crease of our arm just like this and wrap around our arm.
Some food.
They're a lot softer than a lot of people think that they are from seeing the pictures of them and everything, because in the
Yeah.
wild they have moss and algae
Right.
that grows on them.
Yeah.
Thankfully we don't have that here, but it is very important for them to have that in the wild, because there's a moth that lives in their fur that feeds off the moss and the algae and everything that lives on them.
Right.
And it's a symbiotic relationship between the two, meaning that both parties benefit. So the moth benefits from once
Free
a week.
food.
Yeah. That and a little free transport as well, so to and from where they lay their eggs. So once a week when the sloth goes down to use the bathroom, he uses the same tree, the same side of the tree, to the same pile that he did the week before. And the week before's larvae that have now turned into moths will climb up onto the sloth. Oh, are you gonna yawn?
Who's taking it from me? My goodness, look at you.
And the cycle will repeat. So for the moth, it's like a free transportation, free food, and free transportation to the breeding ground. And for the sloth, it benefits them because when the sloth turns around to lick their fur and groom themselves, they lick up a portion of the moth themselves. That serves as their form of protein. So in captivity, we give Flash 2 hard-boiled eggs a week, and the younger ones get a mixture of rice, shaved up sweet potato, and a really high-quality dog food that's soaked in water to make it mushy for them. And so that's their protein. And then as they're grooming themselves, they lick up a portion of the moth's waste as well. And the moth's waste is what gives them the bacteria to be able to digest their food. And so for humans, it's an enzymatic process, how we digest food, but for sloths, it's a bacterial process. And if they don't have bacteria in their gut, they won't be able to digest their food. And so that kind of begs the question, well, how do they get that gut bacteria from in captivity if they don't have the moths that live on them? And that's because when they're born, the mothers, they already have that good gut bacteria established in their bellies, and that goes all the way up through their esophagus and is in their mouth as well. And so when the baby is 3 days old, he will lick a little bit of the saliva mixed with her food that kind of froths up around the corners of her mouth. And so that's where he first starts to develop the gut bacteria. That bacteria will slowly begin to grow, and he'll create his own colony of bacteria. And they will keep that bacteria in their gut until, if something were to ever stressful happen to them, so if they were to go without food for several days, or the main one is the temperature requirements that they require. So it always stays 78 degrees in here. If it were to drop much below that, since they can't maintain their own body temperature, it would kill off all of the bacteria in their gut, and they would not be able to digest their food. So that can be very detrimental for them.
What was his name?
Dash.
This one is Dash.
So we've got Dash, Flash is our big boy, Zoe, and then our next girl that we're going to name Chloe.
It was like paid the reservation back in February.
Yeah.
It was like the original one was like 6 months old at the time. We're like, oh, this could be your baby. Like, it's like a baby by the time I get there first off.
Yeah. So he was 4 months when we first got him. Now he's 8. So he's still very small compared to our other two, but yes, he has grown significantly. Do you have any other encounters booked here with us?
We just did the farmhand thing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And this. We came over to the Smokies for a couple weeks. I don't remember how I found this.
Yeah. A lot of people find us through TikTok. That's our main platform right now.
TikTok thinks I don't know how I found that.
Yeah. Some people share it a lot through Facebook. We're slowly developing a following on our Facebook account and YouTube as well. Their YouTube shorts. As you're petting him there, do you feel that ear that's back behind?
Yeah, I just found it.
Yeah, so they have little ears that are covered by hair that we can pull back. You can see so they're about the size of ours relative to their body size.
Oh, the sweetest. You're pretty.
When I first met her, she had a trip planned with her family to go to Costa Rica to see sloths.
Really?
And then her family canceled on her. She didn't get to go. So Ripley's Zoo, Ripley's Aquarium has a sloth thing. We don't go home.
Yeah.
So we did that on her birthday, and I saw this thing.
So did they have a specific cruise for the sloths, like to be able to go down and interact with the sloths?
Well, they're just they're there in the wild.
Oh, okay.
So you just go see them.
Oh, okay.
You can't interact.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So part of the having the sloths here and everything, they are ambassador animals. And so when they're first born, their mothers were clicker trained to know that when they hear the clicker noise like that, that the breeder would borrow baby, is what he calls it, for about 10-15 seconds. And as baby gets older and grows, so will that time. So a little bit older, sort of time increase up until when they're weaned from the mother's own choosing. They are used to being handled and held 30 minutes to an hour a day. And once they're weaned, they go through a final ambassador test, which means that if they pass it, given the opportunity between doing something they enjoy and being held by a person, they would rather be held by the person. So that test will be performed like he enjoys staying in his basket. That's where he stays most of the time, takes all of his naps and everything. So that would be like me holding the sloth, walking up to the basket and seeing if the sloth wanted to go into the basket or wanted to stay with me. And then the sloth, or the test would be repeated the opposite way. So the sloth would be in the basket, the person would walk up and see if the sloth would rather stay on the person or go to the person or stay in the basket.
It's a good test for a sloth in the basket.
And so both of our babies passed that final ambassador test, which means that they do enjoy being held by people and would rather be held by a person than be in a basket, which he demonstrates very well when, if he's in that basket and we come in here and we're not paying attention to him, he will uncover himself and go reaching for us, trying to get out.
That's
Hey,
so
you're ignoring me. Why are you ignoring me? I'm right here.
Yeah, and the same thing goes for after we have him out and we're holding him for a while. I could walk right over to that basket and be cutting up vegetables right next to the basket.
Yeah.
And he might play with it a little bit and like grab onto it, but he always goes right back to you. And he would rather, you know, just stay on you than be doing something he enjoys. And if the babies don't pass that final test, that's fine. They just go to a facility where they don't require the interaction and to be able to use them for, they can still use them for education purposes, but what we do here is that you get to hold the sloth, get your sloth fixed by being able to snuggle them. A lot of people, that's their bucket list or their life goal is to be able to interact with the sloth. And so they can, yeah, they can come in and get their sloth fixed and get some information about the sloths as well. And so my favorite side of educating people is telling them about the issues that they're having in places where they're native. So there's a sloth conservancy agency that lives in, or that's stationed in Costa Rica and Guatemala, places like that where they're, yeah. And their job is to tell people, don't touch sloths, don't hold sloths, don't take sloths, don't touch sloths, because down there, it's a real issue that the natives will go out into the rainforest, and what they're looking for is a baby or a young sloth.
Yeah.
They will take that baby or young sloth and go and present that baby to a cruise ship that first arrives. A lot of people don't understand the detrimental issues that it causes to the sloths because they present it as this really nice thing. And, you know, that's much different from if you were to go out into the rainforest and observe them, that's totally fine. But oftentimes what they do is that in the wild, how we talked about, they can have moss and algae that's growing on them. That obviously doesn't look best in pictures, so they will dump them in a bucket of bleach and scrub that off. If they are unlucky enough to get a sloth that likes to bite people, they will pull the teeth out, so the sloth does not have that opportunity. You know, obviously they don't present it as such, but I always like to inform people that that is the practices that most of the natives perform on the sloths that are unlucky enough to be caught. And these sloths here, you know, a lot of people that see our lives and just watch for a few minutes are like, why do you have a sloth? This is crazy. You shouldn't have a sloth. You shouldn't own a sloth. You shouldn't touch sloths. You're messing with their ecosystems that live on their backs. And we always tell people that these sloths are further removed from the rainforest genetically than, you know, we are from the pilgrims first coming over. Obviously, we're still people, but that has been generations upon generations upon generations since that happened. And so if you were to take one of these sloths and put them out into the rainforest, they would have absolutely no idea what to do. So it'd be kind of the same thing as, you know, holding a house cat and a feral cat and, you know, turning a house cat out into the world to fend for itself. It's not going to really know what to do. Have a few minutes of it? We can transfer over if you want to.
He's awesome. He's got a hold in it. He's awesome.
It's been about 10 minutes if you guys wanted to, or we can switch more towards the end. It's up to you guys. Just let me know. We can always switch in a minute.
It's his blood.
Is it? Well, you gotta hold it for a minute then. And you can see how dilated their pupils are, and their eyes stay dilated like that all the time, even when it's dark and light. And they have a really narrow field of vision, so it's essentially like if you were to cut both of your hands together and look through it like a telescope. So they have basically no peripheral vision, and they have what's called rod monochromacy, where they don't have any cone cells, only rod cells. And the cone cells are what's responsible for giving our vision color. So they are colorblind, but they can see motion very well, which is why we always have to go real slow with them and not make any quick movements, because they don't see it until it's right in front of them, and then it moves by really quick, so it can start them pretty easily.
I just learned recently that, you know, we see tigers as being orange, but most animals see them as green.
Could be.
Because of the same reason about our eyes versus their eyes.
Yeah.
And that's,
Which is
that's
crazy. Like,
they don't see them in the woods sneaking up on them,
Yeah.
but we can.
Yeah.
We see the orange, like, why is there a fucking orange thing?
Yeah.
There's an orange thing coming.
yeah. Which is crazy to think about, like, how people figured that out, like what scientists took the eyeball of a sloth and like dissected it and looked through to see how it was set up and, you know, all things like that. It's crazy, but somehow they did it.
That's probably no perfect vision on this. I just took that one.
He's just chilling.
And some scientists speculate that their upside down is our right side up. So when sometimes a flash or dash will look at me if I'm talking, he'll look upside down like that. And that some scientists think that that's their right side up is when they're upside down like that. And their upside down is like kind of how he is right now, or if he's, you know, on the floor flat out. So if they were to fall out of a tree or something, everything is virtually upside down for them, which makes sense because everything else in their body is geared to be upside down. So everything between his circulatory system to his the organs, how the organs function, they all have a one-way track to go down. If you think about me trying to do a handstand and eat some food, it ain't gonna go down.
Right.
You know, it's gonna
Right.
either come back up or just, I'm not gonna be able to swallow it very easily. But they have valves that just allow them to swallow their food and no food can come back up, so they can't vomit or regurgitate their food. And their circulatory system, you know, if you think about me holding my arm up for 5 minutes, all the blood that's in my arm is going to rush down to my armpit, and it's not going to be in my hand anymore, and I will not be able to feel it. But they have specific valves that will close off and open as they need it to supply blood to all 4 of their limbs and not make the blood rush to their head when they're upside down like that. Sloths also have a total of 46 ribs, so that's double what we have. And with all of those ribs, there's connective tissue that's attached to the ribs going to their intestines and their organs and everything that keeps it just in place and where it's supposed to be. So that allows them to be able to withstand falls from up to 100 feet and be unharmed because everything stays just where it's supposed to be at. So if we were to get into a car accident, a lot of the injuries that we can get like internally is everything hitting the front of our body wall. And like our brain, you know, head's gonna hit the steering wheel, then the brain's gonna hit the front of the head there. And that can cause a lot of the issues that we have internal, but they do not have that issue because everything is so tightly adhered where it's supposed to be with all the connective tissue.
We should use it for test dummies, crash testing. I'm gonna teach you how to drive first. Good to steering wheel, so.
He's passed out.
Beautiful color.
They're that chocolatey brown color when they're young, but as they get older, it turns more into a cream. And they don't really shed, and so it starts to slowly grow out to be that color. It'll slowly turn that color, but it's not like they lose their baby hair and then their adult hair grows in. And if you were to look at a sloth's hair under the microscope, it would have a lot of little tiny micro cracks all throughout the hair that allows the rain in the rainforest when it rains down on them to gather on their back and to stay in those little cracks and crevices, which helps to create the moss and algae that grows on their back. And it's interesting the way that their hair parts. So if you think about a dog with long hair, their hair parts down their spine and will fall onto either side of their sides. But for a sloth, their hair parts on their stomach and goes around because most of the time they are hanging upside down. We've got about 5 minutes left if you guys wanted to trade off.
Yeah. Scott needs something.
Hey, bud. Want to come see you?
He's so sweet.
But you're already there.
No, just don't let him get a hold of your finger there. They do have really sharp teeth. They don't use it to try to bite people, but sometimes if they think that a piece of food's in their mouth, they're gonna chomp down. Yeah. Yeah, and they tend to explore with their mouths too, like a toddler does.
Taste the language.
And Zoe's the worst. She's 16 months old now, but you'd think she's about 2 months. She is so mouthy. Everything. She'll sit in this, somebody will be sitting in the blue chair with her, and she is all about that cup holder for whatever reason. The mesh in that cup holder, yeah, she'll grab onto it and be biting onto it. And I'm like, what? I don't know if something has spilled in that cup at some point or what, but yeah, she's obsessed with it.
Are you hungry too? If we had a cold spell of weather in Myrtle Beach, we had some snow and some cold, and I was leaving for work on a Sunday morning, and a parakeet flew to the door.
Oh my goodness.
So I just did this down, and he
Yeah.
stepped right up on my finger, so I brought him in.
Yeah.
Now we have a parakeet. He went the next weekend when he came home and was like, another one. He got me once. Now we have 2 parakeets.
Just one. Only. After all day.
And we talked about how poor their eyesight is, and if you think about us losing one of our senses, our other senses tend to be heightened, and so their sense of hearing and smell is very good. So they can hear the difference between everybody. They're still learning my voice because I've not been here as long as some of the others, but they can definitely tell everybody apart from their voices. The owner,
I'm not sure.
yeah. The owner of the place, all he has to do is just open up Flash's door and stick it in and go, "Hey, Flash," in his tone of voice, and he'll come scurrying down.
Really?
Yeah, because he knows who it is.
Yeah, yesterday, who called you? Donna? Called because they had us scheduled at 8:30, and she called to say it's 9 to 12. And the llama that we were looking at recognized her voice and just went right in his face. He had him on speaker.
That's funny. Which llama was it?
It's hard to see. Because
Cusco?
he's really good.
Yeah.
She said, come up behind me and switch his head with me.
When Martin wrote Thomas came down to our campfire and hung out with us.
We always have to tell the guests that you're welcome to feed him graham crackers, but please do not let him get hold of the marshmallow because he gets it all over himself and then hates us to try to clean his face. He's like,
I saw this video. This woman has a parakeet, and she calls her berry cage for his parakeet. It's a dome. So, and she filmed him eating berries. Put a strawberry in there, and put strawberry, and he just slings it. And he's covered, and the inside thing is, and he's all this red berry juice all over the place.
goodness.
He was eating it.
It's funny the little quirks that animals can pick up.
Yeah.
Everyone's got that time.
Good. You can see me.
Just go try in here and grab his legs.
Alright, so this guy, this is obviously one
Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for coming and hanging out with me.
Are you hungry too? Give me just a minute.
always gotta cover him back
So,
up.
no, have you seen another animal again?
That was amazing.
See another animals?
You have anything else booked for the day?
No.
No.
It was funny yesterday, she said, the kennel was like 100 yards away. She said, what's that doing with the kennel? Like, you're in a zoo? You can kill closer. And then this morning, she takes him for a walk.
Yeah.
The baby one.
Yeah. Alright.
Instead of coming to eat him.
We will.
And
put that
this
hand
next
sanitizer
one is a
more
bearded
time.
dragon. Her name is Tootsie. And Tootsie is a great size shape. We call her hideout in the desert. This one comes from Australia. So that's what this guy is meant for. And then, so her natural camouflage size shape and color for hiding out in the sand. You can hold it like. And but this one also has a form of mimicry. And her form of mimicry, she is mimicking an animal that has spikes. Why it is mimicry and not defense? These are completely fake. They're not sharp at all. They're just meant to make an animal say, yeah, maybe not. Don't want a mouthful of needles, right? And then these two up here are bearded dragons. I mean, no, sorry. These are leopard geckos. And these ones also have a form of mimicry. So can everybody guess what they're mimicking? True of many lizards and amphibians that are brightly colored. Poisonous. These two, they're disguised in defense. Just strut around loud and proud and say, yo, I might be poisonous, you don't want to eat me. And, but in fact, they're not poisonous. Obviously, that wouldn't be handy any poisonous animals to hold. Not when it's quick, so don't let it jump. And, but, so all three of these are lizards, and all three of them have their own form of mimicry to help them stay safe. If you were gonna keep any of these as a pet, that's a good choice. That one is a herbivore. It eats no form of meat whatsoever, so that's a big white dish. It eats that full of veggies every day. This one would be a decent choice. It is an omnivore. It eats anything you would put into salsa. So its favorite things are cilantro and green onions and tomatoes and stuff like that. So a dish of salsa is that thing's favorite thing to eat. And then if you have to give it some protein, it takes little balls of food. They just call it bearded dragon food. And you don't have to mess with anything live if you don't want to. These would be your last choice because those are carnivores. So those will not eat anything except live crickets or possibly mealworms. So if you own one of those, you need to plan to spend the rest of your life driving back and forth to PetSmart or Petco or wherever you can find live crickets to buy. One day out of the week that they have, and all the other days you waste your trip driving back and forth. Or else you order from Josh's Frog and have them shipped to your house. But that is an expensive way to feed a lizard. Oh yeah, all the time. Not this one, but the rest of them. This guy's claws are super sharp. Yeah, please. Alright, is anybody old enough to remember what a Bakugan toy is? Alright, so this is a Bakugan toy. A Bakugan is a mixed ball, and then when it hits the magnet, it opens up in a toy like that. Now you see why the next animal I'm going to show you is named Bakugan. whenever you're done, you can put those next to each other. Now, if you go to-
I'm trying to get it down right
Wow.
now.
Alright, does anybody know what this animal is? Yeah, you know what an armadillo is. This is a Brazilian three-banded armadillo. So you've got 1, 2, 3 bands. He is a mammal, he is not a lizard, so this is not a shell. Not a reptile, so this is not a shell. So if you look at all these little bony, all these little patterns, these are all little bony plates. They're all held together by skin. Skin has hair follicles, so there's hair sticking out. And you can eat all of these little plates, and you feel it like that. You can feel all the little hair sticking through there. And these are the only places you can really feel the skin. The rest of it's a little deep in there. Go ahead, this way. There's not kind of see that on the road in America, and then they're not kind of carry leprosy. You don't have to run around after this and go, I'm unclean. But, yeah, right? That's too. He's cool leopard. Alright, so this is his head, this is his tail, and then he's dovetailed together like that. The reason his name is Foxconn is then when you set him up, he just comes right out like that. And then you set him off down. Pretty quick, he's running around like a little potato with high heels. So I'm told that the maximum size of these is the size of a soccer ball. They would run 30 miles an hour and jump 3 feet straight in the air. But I'm gonna have to see that to believe it, because this guy is a year old and he's still the same size as he was when I got him. But I'm looking for a female for him to have a little woman. But they almost always have identical quadruplets, and about 90% of those are male. So it's really hard to find anybody that will sell you a female. But because I am a teenager of the 80s, when I do finally find a female, it's going to be named Shaka Khan to go with Papa Khan. And give them their little walkout music. This guy is an insectivore. He can detect an insect a foot underground and go down and get it. And so, since we get bugs shipped here anyway, we ship him in live bugs so he can have his foraging and natural behavior. So he gets superworms, mealworms, black housefly larvae, and soldier fly pupa, and then hornworms and waxworms, and we sprinkle them out in the dirt box in there, and then, you know, you warm them, you let them get warm, sprinkle a little water from the fur in there, and then he goes to farm. I think he enjoys it more than they do. Yeah, right? Partially. So its grandmother was albino, its mother and father were both gray, and then the mother had the rainbow tribe. So,
Actually, this one's closer softer than this one.
I just gave him 8 mLs. Do you want me to give any more? Or leave it at 8?
that's good.
He's just loving.
Oh gosh.
I mean, if he keeps eating it, that's good too. 'Cause, he is just a hot mess.
Oh my gosh. That's very cool.
As we need a little help getting him out of the crook mile.
Alright. Like,
She got like fingertips with a bunch
our
of
farmer
houses on
hands.
them.
Yeah. Not much to go for. Alright, so that's about an albino. And this one is different than all the other ones. So if you look carefully at this one, which is an albino, see that the other ones have fur in between their quills. This one has no fur between the quills. And this one, the other ones, their quills all go one direction, so when they all lay down, it all lays down the same direction. This one looks like a cactus, so, and that's its face right there. So no matter which direction, some of its quills lay down, the other ones stand up. So this one is always sharp, and you feel that it is dramatically sharp. And I didn't hold this one time, and I let him hold it in my car. And I had about 100 volts. So, the albino animal looks like that. We already talked about the eyes. The skin is the same way. Their skin is just thin and translucent, and it looks pink because they're seeing their red blood cells through their skin. And this one is the sister of that one. So their grandmother was albino, their mother and father were both gray. The mother had the rainbow tribe, so she had 2 full albino, 1 partial albino, and 2 gray. Well, just be careful. Not gonna go through, right? After you coming in. Yeah, the top is right really sharp. Yeah. Bottom. It's crazy. Yeah, so I only had like 6 albinos, and they all were genetic. So I can't tell you 100%. I don't know if I know this way.